In this video, we're going to take a look at some of my favorite little editing tricks for doing quick edits without going into lots of menus and changing tools and things like that. There won't be a ton of fancy keyboard shortcuts either, just some tips to make things a little bit easier for you. The first one is being able to quickly zoom into some audio. So if we want to zoom into this audio really quick, we could do this zoom in the top right or this way. We could also do hold down Option and scroll up, down, left, right. But if we hold down Option and Control, we get this little magnifier glass, and I can click and drag over the area I want to zoom into, and then it will immediately zoom into that area for me. If I hold down Option and Control and then just do a single click, it will put the zoom level back to where it was. So this is one of my favorite ways for getting around areas quickly. I can zoom into that, click back out. I can zoom into this, click back out. I can zoom into this, click back out. If I zoom in to 2 levels, like this, and then again like this, I can click back out once and again. And it might even work with 3. I normally don't need more than 2 though. So that's the first tip, is just being able to quickly zoom into things. The second one is oftentimes when we're editing, we want to be able to do quick trims, fades, cuts, and things like that. So I'm going to show off how I like to do that. First, if I want to quickly cut a region, I just select it. I put the playhead where I want the cut to go, and I use Command T in the keyboard to trim into 2 regions. And now I can do trims like this just by putting my cursor on the edge of the region. Notice that it needs to be on the edge of the bottom edge of the region. If we go to the top edge of the region, we get something different, which we'll talk about. So you'll see as my cursor goes down below the edge, it turns into that trim. If I do it in the middle, I get the option to loop that region. If I do it on the bottom, I can trim it. If I do it on top, that's going to be fades, which we'll talk about in a minute. Okay, if I want to select some audio, typically the way I have it set up is my primary tool, my left click tool is the pointer, and my right click, I'm sorry, my command click tool is the marquee. So I hold command and I can select some regions, some area of region, and I can hit delete and I can erase that area of the region, or I can do things like drag it to move it some other place, things like that. That's how I like to work. However, you might also like to use the marquee tool without having to select it. And you can do that if we come all the way up to Logic Pro and settings in the top left and go to general. You can turn on click zones for marquee tool and click zones for fade tool, which I'll get to momentarily. So you can turn these on. Now with the marquee tool, if I just have my cursor in the bottom of the region, you can see how it changes over there. See how it changes in the bottom half to the marquee tool? So I don't have to hold down command. It doesn't matter what my right click tool is. I could set this to some other tool if I wanted to. And then I can just select here without holding command. The fade tool is engaged if I am in the top corner of a region, left or right, the beginning of the region or the end of the region, and I can fade like this. And I can put my cursor right in the faded area and click and drag to change the curve on that fade. And if I right click in the fade area, I can make it a speed up instead of a fade in, or I can make it a slow down if I was doing the end. I can also remove the fade in or remove all the fades on this region. So those are some of my favorite tips for doing quick edits. Give them a try, see what you think.